Most people with ADHD suffer from rejection sensitivity. I don't think we're understanding it still, but we sure are empaths. God, I hate that term. Ugh. Quick catch up in case you don't know. Rejection sensitivity, or RSD, is when rejection or criticism doesn't just sting, it bites. Someone's tone is a little off and you're spiraling for 3 days. Someone looks at you wrong and you can smell the contempt. Your boss says your report needs revisions and you're convinced you're getting fired. And it follows you around like a ghost, reminding you how unloved you are. I'm Emma. I'm a certified ADHD coach and philosopher. That's me as a baby. I've been doing this for the past 20 years. Today, I'm taking on RSD and making you stop blaming yourself for it. You probably weren't diagnosed with ADHD at birth, but you've had ADHD since then, and it colored the living shit out of your experience. You were too much, too loud, too messy, too forgetful, too sensitive, too distracted, too slow, too fast, too desperate, too extra, too bossy, too out there, lazy, a bad friend, for things you didn't choose, for things you couldn't help. Thousands of times, from teachers, from parents, from friends, from yourself. And you had no idea what it was this time that ruined it. What it was this time that made people mock you instead of join you. What it was this time that made you so unlovable. But it was something, and it was in you. And you grew up carrying it, trying your hardest to figure it out and fix it. That's the data your nervous system grew up on. So of course it built a threat detector. Of course it learned to scan every face for signs of disapproval. Of course the smallest flicker of someone being off with you sets off every alarm in your body. Because statistically, historically, in your actual life, that flicker was usually the opening note of something bigger. And you'll be damned if you're ever caught as the butt of anyone's joke ever again like that. So here we are. Your nervous system trained up on a specific diet, and it got really good at the thing it was asked to do. It learned to read rooms. It learned to read faces. It learned to catch a shift in someone's tone 2 words in. Mostly, it learned patterns, because that's what neurodivergent brains do best. We see patterns everywhere. We can't help it. And when the pattern is something is wrong and it's about me, we build a whole internal surveillance system to catch it early. And its job is to keep you safe, which it does by picking up on the smallest signals most people never notice. The slight pause before someone answers you. The eye contact that gets cut off a second too soon. The smile in the mouth but not the eyes. Your nervous system sees all of it in real time, all day, without you asking it to. That's a highly tuned instrument. That's a skill most neurotypical people don't have because they never needed to develop it. You needed to, so you did. And now you're walking around with it. It's not like you did this on purpose. You were clueless one too many times. You thought people were your friends one too many times. And this is your villain origin story. So we're highly tuned machines, but like anything highly tuned, we're picking up a lot of notes that aren't meant for us. Sometimes we pick up a signal that isn't there at all. Someone's tone was just a little flat because they're tired, and our detector flags it as contempt. Someone didn't text back for 6 hours because their phone died, and our detector has already written the breakup speech. The instrument is so sensitive, it registers ghosts. And sometimes we pick up a signal that's very real, but isn't about us. The friend who seems a little off today because her mom called this morning. The coworker whose smile looks strained because he's fighting with his wife. The stranger on the train whose whole body is saying, "Don't talk to me," because she's having the worst week of her life. We catch all of it, whether or not we ask to, whether or not it has anything to do with us. We're taking the magic school bus, kids. Are you ready? I'm Miss Frizzle. Imagine I'm wearing like teardrop earrings or some emo shit like that. Well, as I always say, let's go inside RSD. Here's the part that makes it hurt. Our detector is running on top of a story we've been carrying since childhood. The story that we're unlovable, that something about us is wrong. So every signal we catch, real or imagined, about us or not, gets filtered through that story. A flat tone isn't a flat tone, it's evidence. A delayed text isn't a delayed text, it's evidence. Because the story underneath everything is, of course they're upset with me. Of course I did something wrong. Of course I'm about to lose them. Because if I weren't so unlovable, sure, that person is having a bad day, but they would have smiled, if only for a second. They didn't feel like it, because I'm not worth it. And sure, your friend is busy, that's why she hasn't replied, but she knows you're waiting. If you were as important to her as she is to you, she would have sent something. A heart, a sorry, crazy day, anything. but she didn't, because you're not as important to her as she is to you, as always. The signal you caught is real. The feeling you're having is real, but what you're doing with it is where the story takes over. The signal slots right into the story that was already running, and you run it all the way to the worst possible conclusion. My family always told me something when I was little, and it stuck. It can't be that the whole world is wrong and only you are right. Well then, it can't be that the whole world is friends with each other and only I'm lonely. So it must mean I'm the troll in the middle. So it must mean I'm the problem. Everyone else seems to be doing just fine. Everyone else seems to be making friends, keeping friends, being liked, being chosen. It's just me. Me and my shitty personality. Me and my weird fucking behavior. Me and my shitty self. Let's just say the unspoken part out loud. They want to get rid of me. I'm not as important to them as they are to me. No one cares about me. No one cares. If I died, no one would cry. I don't have anybody. Nobody misses me. That's the wound underneath everything. That's the scar tissue the whole detector was built on top of. Every small signal lands on that wound, and the wound only knows one shape. It only knows how to say, see, I told you so. Here we go again. It even rewrites the past. Every ex becomes evidence we're hard to love instead of someone who chose us for a long time. Every friendship that ends becomes a search for clues. What did I do? How did I ruin it? Instead of something that you had. We don't ask ourselves what we gained from relationships. We ask what we did wrong. The years of being loved, cared for, picked, appreciated become nothing more than trail clues leading to an inevitable ending. That's how the story works to keep itself true. Okay, we're off the bus. That was really sad. Wow, sheesh, dang. Put the wound aside for a second because I want you to breathe. And also, I want you to see something else. A nervous system that catches the tiny shift in your mom's voice on the phone, that knows your best friend's off before she's even said a word, that walks into a room and feels the argument that ended 2 minutes ago, that reads the cashier's exhaustion and the toddler's meltdown and the couple one table over before you've even sat down. That's the thing people point at when they call themselves empaths. A nervous system that's never learned to filter because filtering wasn't safe for us growing up, because we didn't catch the joke when it was on us, because we didn't notice our friend was pulling away until she was gone. So we grew a nervous system that catches everything now. And this is what it looks like when it's running. Something I want to say to the empath crowd and to myself when I'm doing it too. The exhaustion isn't from picking up everything. Picking up isn't what drains you. What drains you is trying to do something about everything you picked up. Trying to soothe your mom over the phone. Trying to cheer up your best friend. Trying to fix the vibe in the room. Trying to caretake the cashier and the toddler and the couple one table over. That's a whole full-time job, and nobody asked you to do it. You can catch the signal and just let it be a signal. You can notice your friend is off and not try to make her feel better. You can feel the tension in the room and not try to relieve it. You can hear your mom is stressed and say, that sounds hard, and move on with your afternoon. You didn't sign up to be everyone's emotional first responder just because you can see what they're feeling. You were never supposed to. Think about it this way. If you had the ability to read minds, and you could see every worry and every problem of every person walking past you on the street, would that make it your job to stop each person and fix their lives? Obviously not. You'd go insane by lunchtime. You would filter. You would decide which minds you wanted to engage with and let the rest pass through. That's what you get to do with emotional signal too. You get to pick. You get to decide what you're responding to. Everything else, you can just notice. That person sure is upset. Also, you have ADHD. You have enough on your plate. Don't you have a to-do list you've been meaning to follow? Girl, go do that. Don't worry about that girl's day right now. If she needs you, she'll tell you. And once you stop, the exhaustion goes. Because what was tiring you out wasn't the sensitivity. It was the part where you thought you had to do something about every feeling you caught. Your nervous system is still gonna notice things. That's not changing. What's changing is your belief that noticing means you're now on the hook. So back to the wound. Because the empath stuff is one piece, but that's not the whole reason you're here. You're here because there's a voice in your head that tells you you're unlovable every time a friend takes too long to text back. And we still have to do something about that. The good news is the story doesn't have to keep running. It's been running for what, 20, 30, 40 years on the same broken premise. And we can interrupt it, not by fixing you. You don't need fixing. By showing you what the story is actually doing and giving you some ways to stop cooperating with it. Here's the thing the wound is doing every single day, whether you're aware of it or not. It's running a search query on your life. And the search it's running is, find me evidence that I'm not seen. Find me evidence that I don't matter. Find me evidence that I'm slipping out of their minds. The thing about search queries, they always return results. That's what they do. You ask a question, the world hands you matching data. Ask, am I being forgotten? And you'll find evidence. Ask, am I not loved? And you'll find evidence. The friend who didn't text back. The partner who didn't notice your new favorite color. The parent who didn't mention your big news. All true. The data is there. But the reason it's so easy to find is that you're running the search. Your instrument is already tuned for it. The minute you start looking, the evidence floods in. If you ran the opposite query, find me evidence I'm loved, you'd find that too. The friend who sent you a meme last week that only you would get. The partner who remembered a weird thing you mentioned years ago. The parent who asks about dinner every time, even though they don't know what you actually do for a living. It's all there. It's been there the whole time. You just weren't asking for it. The wound doesn't go away. I'm gonna be straight with you. You don't heal out of this. You don't dismantle the unlovable story and ride off into the sunset. The wound still pings. The wound still has opinions. Someone will get you a gift that misses the mark a little, and the wound will say, they don't even really know me. Someone will forget to ask about a thing you mentioned, and the wound will say, see, I'm not important. The wound doesn't clock out, but you don't have to agree with it anymore. That's the shift. You hear the ping and you notice it and you say, no, 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 no. You don't debate the wound. The wound is your trauma. The wound is your pain. You don't reason with pain. You don't negotiate with trauma. You tell it,
shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up.
it's my life now and I don't want to live with this anymore. I'm sick of proving to myself how unlovable I am. I'm bored of it. I've been doing this for God knows how many years. Now I want to prove the opposite. Now I want to spend my time proving to myself that I'm lovable. And yes, it's going to be me finding it in the smallest fucking things. In the little texts from friends. In the fact that my mom is excited to see me when I come home to visit. In the fact that someone I met one time remembered my name and I was like, holy shit, I'm memorable. That's where the evidence lives. It's been there all along. I just wasn't picking it up because I was busy collecting the other kind. There's always two things happening, the kindness and the ignorance, the thing they remembered and the thing they forgot, the love they're showing you in their weird, limited way, and the love they're failing to show you. You get to pick which one you're centering. And I'm telling you right now, I choose the kindness. I choose the thing they got right. I choose the love that's actually in the room, even if it doesn't look the way I wanted it to look. The wound gets no more of my life. It's had enough. The surveillance hasn't worked. You already know that if you've been doing this for a while. You've been running it your whole life. You've been watching every face, decoding every tone, auditing every interaction, trying to figure out what you did wrong so you can stop doing it. If that strategy was gonna work, it would have worked by now. You'd have the playbook. You'd know exactly what to say and what to avoid and what the rules are. Do you? Because I've been doing this most of my life and I don't. Nobody does. And the reason nobody has the playbook is there isn't one. Because the real reasons people stop being your friend are fucking stupid. They got busy and forgot. They moved and didn't care enough about people from their past to stay connected. They don't feel like leaving the house after work anymore. You gave gifts that were too good and they felt like they could never match it. You listened to them talk about themselves for years and they realized they were a shitty friend and decided to ghost you instead of correcting course. Their new partner didn't like you for reasons that have nothing to do with you. They got into a new hobby and the friend group shifted. They joined a cult. None of that is decodable. None of that is preventable by you being more careful. You can't reverse engineer yourself into being universally loved because the thing you're trying to protect yourself from isn't even logical. People are dumb as hell. That's the actual reason. And if they're not mature enough to come to you and fix things instead of disappearing, fuck them.
Fuck 'em, fuck 'em, fuck 'em.
That's not a loss. That's them telling you they weren't it. Listen, some people won't like you for reasons that aren't crimes. They won't like you because you're too pretty, too smart, too funny, too deep. They won't like you because you're too good of a friend and it makes them feel bad about themselves. They won't like you because you want to talk about something real and they want to talk about something shallow. The thing you're investigating yourself for isn't even a thing. You're hunting a crime that doesn't exist. And this one might sting. People are not that deep. Your RSD brain thinks everyone is doing this complex calculus about you, weighing your flaws, building your case, deciding whether to keep you around. They're not. Most of them are barely thinking about you at all. They're thinking about what they're having for dinner. They're thinking about that thing their coworker said this morning. They're thinking about whether they want to go to the gym. The depth you're assuming they have, it isn't there. So stop. Stop for you. Stop for your own sake. Stop so you can breathe. Stop looking for them in the small stuff between the lines. Stop scanning for whether someone is upset with you to correct that. Stop auditing yourself every time someone goes quiet. You deserve to put this down. You've been carrying this since you were a child, and you didn't choose it, and you're exhausted. You're allowed to put it down. You haven't found your people yet? That's all right. You will, but they're not hiding in the micro expressions of the people who are already halfway out the door. Your people, when you find them, are going to use their words. They're going to tell you they're glad to see you. They're going to remember the things you said. They're going to be grown enough to let you know where you stand. You don't have to decode them. You just have to stop settling for people who make you do that. If any of this landed for you, please like the video, subscribe, and share it with someone you think needs it. You probably already know exactly who. I'll leave you with this. Socrates said, "The secret of happiness is not found in seeking more, but in developing the capacity to enjoy less." I don't know. I think about that a lot. The love in my life didn't change. I did. I started letting it count. I'll see you next time.